I'm Richard Clewer, the leader of Wiltshire Council. Cost of living is an issue that's impacting on all of us. And as a council, I am absolutely determined that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that both the resources that government are putting into this, and there's been a vast intervention in government, off the top of head calculations would be about £500 million coming in just to support Wiltshire residents alone, but also the other work streams, the other support that's been going in to make sure it's all going well, to make sure that we're passing it on to residents where it's our responsibility to do so, but also to bring together Wiltshire's community, or communities, to make sure that we are providing warm spaces, that we're looking after each other, that the COVID spirit is being brought back to life, particularly as the weather starts getting cold. I don't know about you, I've noticed the last few days it's been getting cold in the evenings, there's an urge to get the heating on, and I think for a lot of people will be thinking twice. I'm certainly thinking twice about putting the heating on at home. And we need to make sure that we are not just turning our libraries into warm spaces, which is fine if you live within a short walk of a library, but no good if you're half a mile away in one of our towns or in a community where the nearest library is in another village. We need to make sure that all of the community assets that we've got that are suitable are there to be used to help, and also that we're looking out for each other, that we're looking out for our neighbours, particularly people who we know who might be elderly, on a fixed income, struggling with cost of living, and that we're then perhaps inviting them in for a chat and a cup of tea into a warmer environment. So there is a huge amount of work going on. There are no easy answers to this. You'll see from government's intervention and the scale of that, that there's no easy solution. From a Wiltshire perspective, we have very limited free funds that we can throw at something like this, but we do have a great ability to convene and work with our parishes and with our community groups and the voluntary sector to provide support. That's where the bulk of our focus is going. It's also going into our businesses. We know businesses are struggling. The fixed energy prices will help, but again, we're monitoring and providing what support we can, and also to my own staff at Wiltshire Council. This is not something that is affecting pensioners and those on benefits. It's affecting everyone. It's affecting people on normal incomes. And we have got to make sure that we are all pulling together and doing everything we can to help each other as we go into the winter. The most important item that we've been discussing, perhaps not the most interesting to people, is an update on our budget position. Now, we're all facing a cost of living crisis. It is hitting all of us. It's also hitting, I'm afraid, the council. Inflation is significantly higher than our income. We have the ability to raise our income at the moment by 3% a year through the council tax, 2% rise and 1% adult social care precept. But not unreasonably, staff pay, for example, will see significantly greater impact on us than that will alone. So we're looking at a position where this year, despite setting a budget that was adjusting for inflation that we were predicting at the time of about 4%, we're seeing inflation up at 11%, and we're seeing a deficit in our budget. It's not something that we are worrying about. We saw this coming several months ago. We've set money aside from last year's budget where we were able to achieve an underspend to balance it out. We are monitoring this really closely because as a council, we provide some absolutely critical services to people. We can't afford to let our own finances get out of hand, and it's part of that monitoring process. It's a difficult circumstance, a difficult situation, but at the moment, it's not one that I would describe as causing us any major concern. One of the first things I did on becoming leader was start putting together our business plan. And the business plan is designed to identify areas where we want to see things change and improve in Wiltshire, and then coming up with measures, with plans to actually build on and deliver that. And in order to do that, we need to understand what progress we're making. We need some form of metric, some form of measurement on that delivery, whether it be the amount of waste that's going to recycling, or the number of affordable houses we're building each year, or the number of our young people who are being active and healthy. We've had our first draft report. It's going to be a report that evolves over time. Metrics will come and go. There's a vast amount of data that underpins it, but it's there so that we can, at a glance, see whether we're moving in the right direction, and if not, identify what steps we could take to make further progress, and where we are, make sure that we understand how and why we've achieved the success that we have. It also contains the risk register. We're into the really dry elements of local authorities here, but risk registers are critical. That's about horizon scanning. It's about saying, what are the things that could trip us up? albeit changes in government policy, very topical at the moment, or pandemic flu, which would have been topical a couple of years ago. It's identifying those issues and then understanding what measures we can take to be ready for them if and when they occur. So dry stuff, but really important to the functioning of a successful authority. One of the issues I've been really keen to see Wiltshire Council deliver is a much more joined up relationship between our services we offer to people and the place-based services, including housing. We've approved today an independent living strategy for Wiltshire. This is about dealing with people who have special educational needs and their transition away from living at home and making sure that there is suitable accommodation inside the county for them to then move on into for the rest of their lives. It's really important that we approach this as one council, not as children's services offering a service up until 18 or slightly beyond, and then someone else stepping in to provide services beyond that point. We know that the number of people, young people that we've got with special educational needs, we know that they're going to be continuing with us as adults, so we can plan strategically. And by bringing everyone together, I think we've now got a strategy that gives us a really good chance of providing some excellent housing that's been properly designed and properly put together for the needs of those people. So I think a really good strategy to be bringing forward, and one that's very much in line with our business plan. One of the issues we've just discussed in Cabinet was around the service asset transfer and devolution policy. We've been transferring assets to some of our towns who've wanted them, and we've also been, as part of that, ensuring that they take on responsibility for elements of street scene, of the cleaning of streets, the cleaning of areas inside town centre, the town centres as well. We had a policy that was running and then COVID came along and we had to redeploy all our staff, and the policy died away. So we felt that we needed to refresh the policy in order to get that programme running again. It's about empowering towns to decide the level of cleanliness that they want for their town centres, rather than relying on a single Wiltshire contract. And I have to be honest, Wiltshire Council, fundamentally, we are a social care provider. The vast bulk of our funding, it goes on adults and children's social care. We cannot put the effort into street maintenance that we used to. And a lot of our towns want to see more. And this is a way for them to both take on that responsibility and decide what they want for their towns, but also to take on assets. For example, Devizes took on the running of markets, and as a result are able to shape the way that their markets work in a way that's more focused on Devizes. It's empowering the towns to take more responsibility, more ownership of the events that are running inside them and attracting people into them. That policy has now been agreed by Cabinet and is up and running with £200,000 behind it to help make sure those transfers can continue. We were really pleased to be awarded money from government to invest into tackling substance misuse. For people who are addicted to other substances, particularly illegal drugs, it is a really, really serious issue. The support that we've got from government is aimed to try and put that support in to enable people to move to a position where they're able to leave the addictions behind and get on with their lives. When you deal, for example, with rough sleepers, you will very often see that you get a complex mix of substance abuse issues, addiction issues, mental health issues. And breaking this cycle is not easy. It is great that government is giving us the extra support. We've got a very good plan as to how to use it, as to how to invest over £300,000 in supporting our residents who are in need of that assistance. And it gives me a great deal of confidence that we will be able to use that money to actually change people's lives.